payoff. And so this week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlin.
Kelsey Plum thought she could make fun of Caitlin Clark during All-Star Weekend and nobody would pay attention. Karma got there before Clark's three-pointer from the logo. After Plum's pettiness backfired dramatically, she is now being ridiculed by NBA luminaries and on social media. This situation is insane in every way. Was Kelsey Plum's comment on Team Clark a harmless jest, or do you think it went too far? Comment below. We're talking about grown ladies acting like Ellen
are really, really good. So the T-shirts don't bother me. But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter.
Elementary school children over basketball. Again, drama. Kelsey Plum genuinely thought she had done something when she decided to openly mock Caitlin Clark during All-Star Weekend. But it was really beautiful to see the world warn her not to today and give her some swift karma. Let's start from the beginning, since this disaster is simply too good not to dissect comprehensively. The Caitlin Clark act was the highlight of...
That was a very powerful moment. We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise. But the T-shirt, just united front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that. But no, we were just... We had a very...
that really needed to be mentioned.
I'm trying to make a situation light, okay? But yeah, no, I think it was just all of us getting on the same page for the game. We wanted to do something that was just united and collective, and I thought that it was a very powerful moment and got the point across. And, sometimes you don't have...
Indianapolis All-Star Weekend. Even though she due 2 injuries that prevented them from playing, the WNBA players decided to make their big political statement. When they initially came out, they all donned these "Pay Us What You Owe Us" t-shirts, which are so amusing on so many ways that it's hard to know where to start. First of all, for the last 27 years, the league has been losing money. 27 years. This financial difficulty is not new. It is mathematically certain at this moment. The WNBA has never turned a profit. Don't ever do it. Therefore, when these players demand payment for what they are due, it would be like asking your parents for your allowance after you have been grounded for breaking every...
Kelsey Plum was the leading all-time scorer in women's college basketball until Caitlin Clark passed her up her final season at Iowa. So there's that, right? But I think we all understand that there's plenty of jealousy for Caitlin Clark around the WNBA, her spotlight, the endorsements she gets, and her fame. But Kelsey Plum, I could imagine her feeling a type of way because she really had a very similar college career with none of that spotlight, none of that fame.
But this is where Kelsey Plum decided to liven things up. During the post-game press conference, she couldn't help herself. She had to make the slight remark that none of Team Clark were actually present for the meeting where they decided to wear these shirts. The pettiness was so clear you could see right through it, like cellophane. And Sabrina,
I think what she was trying to do there was make sure that Caitlin didn't get credit for the shirts, not realizing the backfire on the shirts, that she didn't want to be associated. It was on purpose. But at the same time, kind of showing her hand in her cattiness towards Caitlin. So it just completely backfired on Kelsey.
Reaction. The chef gives you a kiss. The moment Plum said that, her face sank. She knew exactly what was happening, and she didn't like it. Sabrina made an effort to minimize the situation and dismiss it with humor. But the damage was already done. The shade had been thrown, and everyone in the room knew it. Let's talk about why Plum...
By the way, this is the least profitable, arguably, it'll be over the next 10 years. It's only going to get more profitable as women's basketball gets better, as the Caitlin Clark momentum train gets bigger. I mean, this year, she's not playing well. She's hurt. She's not there for all the games. So this is actually not as great as it could be. Like Michael Jordan, hurt year 2, next 12 years were legendary. That's what it's going to be. So I think they deserve a big raise, maybe not 50% of revenues, because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA star
made this extremely stupid decision. Do something. Thanks to Caitlin Clark, half of these women are employed today. WNBA games were played in front of relatives like crowds before Clark joined the league. At the moment, they are selling out venues and breaking records for television viewing. Clark brought credibility, attention, and most importantly, cash to a league that was practically on life support. In this instance, Kelsey Plum is acting as if Clark is their enemy in their fight for more pay. It's like biting the hand that sustains you. But that hand also writes your paychecks and keeps the lights on at your office.
Now you're at the Ritz-Carlton. Keep your issues to yourself. All right? You went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 Seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking. I don't mind the t-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls. Like fast. Like this is the player.
What's most funny about this whole thing is that Plum thought she was being smart. She honestly believed she could with that small comment. Everyone would merely nod in agreement, saying things like, "Yeah, get her, Kelsey." Instead, she was criticized by almost everyone with a functioning brain. Stacey King, a former Chicago Bulls player and 3-time NBA champion, slammed Plum harshly for her comments. And when a man who used to be Dennis Rodman calls you petty, you know you've gone too far. King made it clear, these girls are making it harder on themselves by criticizing the very player who's making all this money possible. King's quote was accurate. You're fighting for more money while putting on a united front at your most critical event. You still managed to make fun of Caitlin Clark. Why? Get Sabrina's reaction to Plum's comment. It says a lot. Some of these women's selfish behavior is terrible. Someone has to let them know that it's hurting their league. Boom. Presented by someone who truly knows what it's like to compete under real pressure and win titles. King understood immediately what the others were thinking. Such behavior is unattractive and ineffective. But the train of karma was far from over. You see, you insulted Clark during All-Star Weekend, and guess what happened? Kelsey Plum, an athlete, 4 under a rower, ended up at a Nike party. Who do you think looked at the Instagram photos? Caitlin Clark herself, in fact. Now, Clark might have decided to ignore it. One of her options was to pretend she didn't see anything. However, our heroine decided to take some severe revenge instead. To Plum's Instagram post about the Nike party, she only replied, "Thanks for the Nike ad." It's the audacity, the truth, the utter barbarism of the statement. Clark was basically saying, "Thanks for promoting my sponsor while you're supposed to be repping under a rower in the most polite, devastating way possible." It was like watching someone get nicely murdered. The internet went absolutely bananas over this comment. In just a few hours, that post went from a few hundred likes to over 5 as the reply area turned into a battleground. People were either dying laughing at Clark's shadow or attempting to protect Plum. But let's be honest, it's unacceptable to be found to be supporting your opponent's sponsor. It's just after trying to criticize them in public. And Plum's response to each of these events? Complete silence. The clap was not returned by her. Didn't try to protect themselves. Didn't even acknowledge what had happened because she couldn't think of anything to say. I regret that my attempt to denigrate the person who is maintaining our league on their own revealed me as a hypocrite. The whole situation perfectly captures the issues with how some WNBA veterans have reacted to Clark's rise to prominence. Instead of valuing the money and attention she has given to the sport, they have opted to be bitter and petty about it. It's like complaining that your restaurant is too busy after a famous individual gives it a 5-star review. The demand for increased compensation from these athletes is entirely understandable. Professional athletes should not be paid $80,000 a year to work 2 jobs outside of their occupations. But when you publicly argue with the person who makes the money that makes those salary increases possible, you are essentially undercutting your own cause. Given that the WNBA is presently involved in CBA negotiations, Plum's comments were particularly untimely. League players now gather to talk about things like wages, benefits, and working conditions. The league has more authority to reject the players' ideas and give them a less professional image when there are public displays of hostility and division during these negotiations. Adam Silver, the NBA's commissioner, has previously said in public that the league is turning its attention from political advocacy to basketball. The WNBA ought to learn from that. But instead, they are making their internal conflicts and drama worse. This is made worse by the fact that Clark has only offered encouragement to her other players. She has made it clear time and time again that she wants everyone to have higher income. She has handled all the pressure and criticism with amazing grace for someone in her second professional season, and she has acknowledged the veterans who came before her. But instead of appreciating such help, gamers like Plum seem determined to start conflict where none is needed. They appear to be more focused on maintaining an odd hierarchy than they are on actually improving the lot of all league members. The Pay Us What You Owe Us campaign was misguided from the start. Seeking more money from a league that has never produced money. While also alienating the player who has brought in before unheard of amounts of attention and revenue is plain dumb business. It would be like deliberately sabotaging the company's biggest customer to get a raise. Clark's Nike comment on social media caused Plum a lot of pain. On Twitter and Instagram, the hypocrisy of a player wearing underwear posting from a Nike party just after criticizing the company's biggest WNBA star was publicly revealed. In essence, the memes were self-written. Some tried to defend Plum by saying that she was merely attending a party and that the situation wasn't that serious. However, anything you post as a professional athlete with sponsorship arrangements is commercial content, whether you know it or not. Posting at a rival brand's event while pretending to be a competitor is marketing 101 level stupidity. Clark's choice to respond with such exquisite accuracy further enhanced it. She did not accuse, she did not rant, she did not get angry. Only one well-written comment from her exposed the entire situation for what it was. This type of media savvy distinguishes superstars from regular athletes, because it appeared like Plum hadn't learned her lesson about making fun of someone who was clearly more adept than she is at this game. People interpreted her Instagram stories posts about CC Clamps' more subtly offensive remarks directed at Clark. The whole thing has been a master class in how to do professional relationships and public relations wrong. Plum was able to paint herself as shallow, incompetent, and hypocritical in just one weekend. On its own, that is very amazing. The fact that Plum is an experienced player who should be more cognizant of the circumstances makes all of this more concerning. She has enough league experience to understand how these things work, how public comments can backfire, and how important it is to maintain professional relationships. She did. However, let her emotions and what appeared to be a personal grudge against Clark color her choices. The irony is that Clark's achievement should be praised by all WNBA players. When one athlete improves the sport as a whole, everyone benefits. Television ratings increase, sponsorship deals grow, arena attendance increases, and eventually so do salaries. This is basic economics. Some players, meanwhile, seem more concerned with making sure Clark doesn't get too much credit or attention than they are with admitting this obvious fact. Like crabs in a bucket, they pull each other down, instead of helping each other get out. The senior players who welcomed Clark to the league have given her greater opportunities and attention. Those who have chosen to be petty and vindictive have mostly just made themselves look worse, while Clark continues to rise above the chaos. Stacey King's comments on this situation were incredibly insightful because he has been on championship runs and knows what true team chemistry looks like. When veterans start undermining the team's top player, failure and chaos are unavoidable. A spoof film that was shockingly realistic and criticized WNBA officiating went viral during this time. The league has been plagued by poor game management, uneven officiating, and a general lack of professionalism in many areas. The situation is only made worse by participants' public arguments. It has been incredible to watch Clark remain calm and protect herself when necessary. She has managed to maintain her professionalism without allowing anyone to bully her. Finding that balance may be difficult, even for experienced athletes, much less one who is only in her second season. The entire situation took place during Indianapolis All-Star Weekend, which further embarrassed the league. Honoring women's basketball in Clark's hometown was the aim of this event. Rather, it turned into a pointless soap opera that trumped the actual sports. In a larger sense, incidents like these show why the WNBA has struggled to maintain consistent growth and financial success over the years. Instead of focusing on basketball and the growth of the sport, there is always some off-court drama or political statement that detracts from the actual product. The media claims that agreements to increase player pay are contingent on maintaining and growing the fan base that Clark has brought to the sport. Avoiding small-scale feuds and political activism that alienates supporters is the greatest way to secure that financial future. Plum's karma came swiftly and with a bang. Within days after her comments, she was the target of social media criticism, NBA celebrities' mockery, and a humiliating sponsor dispute. Sometimes, at the perfect time, the cosmos can teach humans valuable lessons about hubris and poor decision-making. The whole situation serves as an excellent example of why athletes should think carefully about what they say, especially while speaking in front of a crowd. One poorly timed comment could turn into a serious problem that damages your reputation and connections around the league. The foolishness of disparaging Caitlin Clark was something Kelsey Plum learned the hard way. From NBA veterans blaming her to being exposed for that Nike party hypocrisy. Karma hit quickly and savagely. What were your thoughts on Clark's offensive? Instagram comment? Comment below. Press like and subscribe to view additional WNBA